Crazy people out there, my name is Dragonite and welcome back to another GameMaker tutorial video. So this is another nice quality of life language feature that GameMaker Studio 2 has added. This is the conditional operator. I've been doing a video on a couple of these language features recently, I've noticed. So you see this code here, this is fairly straightforward. I'm going to run the game. I have a little dude who you can click on and deal damage to him, and I feel really bad because he looks awfully sad. And if your health goes below 3, the text will change from green to red, and if your health hits 0, it says you are dead. The code for that is pretty straightforward. There's a couple if statements, one for determining the color and one for determining the text that is shown. And the conditional operator is nothing more or less than a way to clean this up a little bit. So instead of saying if HP is less than 3, set color to red, otherwise set color to green, you can instead say, in one statement, draw set color HP is less than 3, followed by a question mark. I'm going to space that out a little bit better so that it doesn't look like a funny ice cream cone. C red, followed by a colon, C underscore green. Green. There we go. And this has collapsed the however many lines of code that was, 5 lines of code into one. And if I were to run the game again, you can see that it is doing what it was before. Health goes below 3. The text turns from green to red. So this here is called a conditional operator. Alternatively, a ternary operator. I prefer to call it a conditional because I feel like that's the more common word to use for it. So if you say it, people are more likely to know what you're talking about. It's essentially a collapsed if statement. It takes the form of a condition, hence the name conditional, which in this case is HP is less than 3, followed by a question mark, followed by the code to run or the value to return if the conditional evaluates true, which in this case is C underscore red. There's the colon, and then there is the value to return if the condition evaluates false, which is C green. This isn't exactly the same as an if statement. The conditional is for specifically returning a value. It's not something that can stand on its own. You can't, for example, just have a freestanding condition that says if HP is less than 3, then I don't know, what's an action you might want to do? X speed equals 10. It's not even X speed, is it? It's H speed and V speed. Else, in the form of a colon. There we go. This doesn't make any sense. This is not a statement that GameMaker will recognize. If you look at the error, it says unnecessary expression being used as a statement. The conditional is specifically for returning a value. So if you wanted to put it in an actual return statement, or if you wanted to pass it to a script or function as a parameter, you can do that, as I am here. This is just choosing the color based on a condition.
Hey.
If you wanted to do what I was attempting to do here, you would need an actual if-else statement. You could say h speed equals HP is less than 3. Followed by a question mark, followed by 10 or 0. You could do this. This is allowed, but the value of the conditional has to be assigned or passed to something, assigned to a variable or passed somewhere else. And as you would expect, you can do the same thing with this draw text. It works with strings as well instead of just values. You can say HP is less than or equal to 0. I know where the keys are on my keyboard. If that's true, you write the text you're dead. If it's false, you write the text of I'm just going to cut and paste that because I don't feel like doing it like typing it out twice. There we go. So now, once again, if I run the game, we have now condensed 10 lines of code into 2, which is very nice. Text changes from green to red and from the number to oh no, you're dead. One other thing that's probably worth cautioning is that in a lot of places in programming languages, GameMaker included, you can get away with not using parentheses around your program logic very rigorously. You could say something like if A or B or C or D and E. Some people would tell you that you really should use parentheses around every single condition and in something like this when you're programming, but for the most part, you don't have to. Conditionals are a little bit different. You really should wrap the entire statement in parentheses, and so that you can see where those are to make it a little bit readable, I will do that. And inside that, it's really a good idea to have the condition and the two potential results wrapped in parentheses if they're more than a single expression. Again, so that you can see them. If it's just a single expression like a C_red, it's not as big of a deal, but certainly if there's something like a logical operator like this in the condition. And that's because of what are called precedence rules. If you remember from 6th grade mathematics, order of operations, parentheses, exponentiation, multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction. Different operators have different precedence. Multiplication will always be done before division and subtraction, addition and subtraction, I'm sorry. And the same applies for logic. Different logical expressions have different levels of precedence. Hence what I said a little while ago about putting multiple conditions together in an if statement or something. And that gets all the more weirder when it comes to conditionals because there are multiple things being evaluated in the same space. For example, if we were to go back to what I said before, I guess I'll pick on h-speed, v-speed again. If you were to do something like this, and you didn't use parentheses, would the computer evaluate it like this? Would it take this condition first, and then would it evaluate the conditional and then add the 5? Or would it evaluate it like this? Is the 0 plus 5 included? I can't remember what the rules are for precedence when it comes to conditional operators, and just so that my code is not relying on that, I would much rather just put parentheses around the entire conditional like this so that I know exactly what it's doing. Let's run the game, because that's actually code that will run. That was just an example that I pulled out of my butt, and it'll work. So HP is, let me get rid of the plus 5 so that it starts out still, so that I can actually click on it. We will click on your face, and then you will run away. Probably because I did 7 points of damage to you, and you don't like that. So that's a conditional operator. That is a one of several, and I'll remove some of the space just so that this isn't like hilariously wide. This is one of the language features that GameMaker Studio 2 added. It's nothing game-changing, but if you've got any sections of code that are a long list of if-else statements and you want to make it a little bit shorter, there you go. You can do that. One other thing you can do is you can nest conditionals together. You could say, instead of if HP is less than 3, set it to red, otherwise set it to green. You could say otherwise HP is less than, let's say, 6. C yellow versus C green. This is a case where you should absolutely use parentheses around the conditionals, because then whatever's going to happen after that, good luck. And you can see that the health goes down to 5 and it turns yellow, and then it keeps going down to 2 and it turns red. I would not recommend doing this. If you do this, you've basically traded one piece of hard-to-read code for another piece of hard-to-read code. I was in class once, and I was trying to be a smartass, and I did basically this for something. I can't even remember what the assignment was, and the teacher took points off because he said, "This is impossible to read, don't do this." And as much as I like doing stupid things like that, he wasn't wrong. So just know that you can do this, you probably should not. So that's the conditional. They're a little bit more involved than the array literal, but they're a useful thing to have all the same. I like to use them. I have taken a liking to use them in optional script arguments. You can do this. You can use them with the argument count variable, and you can say if the argument has been passed to the script, a variable equals that value. Otherwise, it's got some default value. So that's one use for them, but you can do a lot of things. But once again, ask yourself, are you making your code easier to read or harder to read? So that's it. If you want the code for this, again, it's only a couple lines of code. It could probably just be copied and pasted into the video description, but link to the GitHub down there if you want to mess with it. I hope you got something out of that. My name is Dragonite, and I will see you all later.